Hey everyone, we're back for another episode of WTCtv. We're doing our recap, I believe. So it's our three count show recap. We're doing what, July through September of 2025. Lots of cool stuff to go over, lots of cool things to happen here. It's me, Tony from WrestlingTradingCards.com. I'm here with Paul and Anand from the Wrestling Card Case Guide. And here we are, Quarterly Report.
Yep,
What's up, Paul?
Q3 2025. Here we go.
What do we got, man? What's going on? What's we want to start right away with you want to go right away with our top sales?
Yeah,
We
let's
want to
do that
save a little
because
bit.
I've changed things around a little bit, sort of as a function of what's happened in our hobby over the last little while. What we've always done is when we used to do the monthlies and we switched to quarterly, was it this year or the year before when we started doing 4 a year rather than 12? I would always call together the top sales of that month and I put that together and then we talk about just that month. But what I started doing this year, in sort of anticipation for the year-end show that we do about the top sales of the year, is I just started logging the top sales as they started to come. And I'm like, well, this is kind of good because I can see all the five-figure sales. And, I don't want to seem snobbish or anything, but the wrestling card world is in a whole different plateau now that a four-figure sale just isn't news anymore. So I've stopped logging
Crazy, right? It's real crazy that we're at that point
every
where a
day.
four-figure sale doesn't mean anything
No,
anymore.
every day with the newer releases, with Finest, with Topps Chrome, with Flawless, you're going to get a four-figure sale, if not every day, several a week. So we're now at the point, and it's not that we don't comment on them, we do on social and we follow as we go along. I'm just not logging them. I'm only logging sales that are five figures or more. And so far on the year, we've already got 18 of them. So when we get to the year end, we're not going to have a bunch of these. And I thought, well, what I'll do is for this discussion today, because we're just talking about what happened in the last quarter, I'm just going to highlight like our top list starts at the big one, the $103,700 Hogan sale, Wrestling All
Yep.
Stars from the beginning of the year. But the number two sale of the year happened in this quarter, and it's a function of Hulk Hogan passing away just before this quarter began. He passed away in late June.
Hmm.
Of course, we're talking about July, August, September. The Marusho 1981 PSA 8 sold for 28,500. That's the top sale of our quarter and the second highest sale of the year. Then we go down through a bunch of more Hogans before we get to one of the earlier rock refractors. But my point is that a lot of this year in particular, and especially last quarter, was influenced by the passing of Hulk Hogan. There was a massive amount of people that came out of the woodwork and tried to snag whatever they could of Hulk Hogan. And this is in all price points, not just the higher end that we're talking about.
Yeah, I
So,
mean it happened for me too because I had that 91 Merlin, PSA
yeah,
10 that just sat in my case here for a long time, and then out of the blue, someone offered me something that couldn't pass it up. Like, sure,
too good to be
absolutely.
true. Sure. Yeah,
Yeah.
I was watching Hogan and like we don't like to see people the day after selling their stuff, but there's such a demand and there still is. And when we
The way
look
it is
at
every
when we look at our year-end show, it's going to be the Hogan show. It's going to be, some of the modern guys might not appreciate it, but it is what it is. But speaking of modern, there are two sales that happened this quarter that are on our top sales list and are both five figures. And if you ask me, both of them are fucking remarkable. The first one is the 2025, um, or sorry, the 2024 Julia Select Gold Vinyl that sold for $10,755, just under 11 grand. And the real big one is the 2025 Stephanie Vaquer Cactus Jack Chrome autograph, one of one that sold for 15K. Now we've got two relatively new names. I mean, they're big names, Stephanie and Julia.
yeah.
They've only been on the main roster for what, a year or so each, and they're getting numbers commensurate with the top names that we've ever seen. Like that Stephanie Vaquer, and I like Stephanie like everyone else, and she's now the women's champion, and I think that
Sure.
she's going to deliver in every which way. But that's a remarkable sale to me, $15,000 for a Cactus Jack Stephanie.
I mean, it tops the Steve Austin cards, it tops Rock
Correct.
cards,
Correct.
it tops Cody Rhodes cards, it tops
Yeah,
some other types of Hogan's and Cena cards. I mean, it's a big sale.
very big sale. And even at Julia for, the select, and it was just a select gold vinyl, which means it's not a one-on-one, going for $10,755. Like these are big numbers, Tony, for now, maybe one day Stephanie Vaquer and Julia might be in that top tier of names with a Hogan, with a Rock, with an Austin, with an Undertaker.
Sure.
But it speaks to, I'm always going on about, hey, it's the vintage stuff that's bringing in the real money. but sales like this really catch my eye because it does show
Yeah.
the power of the modern collector, new people coming into the hobby, and just people appreciating that what these girls are doing for the business now. Um,
Well, it's a good sign and indication, as we've been talking about for several years now, and we've been preaching about for many years, is that wrestling cards are being taken seriously, and it's just not some sort of little a niche within the niche. It still is that, but it's become this bigger niche now within the
Absolutely.
niche, and it's just it's nice to see that all these years of collecting and preaching about how cool wrestling cards are being respected by a lot of new collectors who've come in the last decade or so.
Absolutely. And you were on the scene when a four-figure sale was a big deal. And
Yeah,
your Trish
yeah.
2005 was one of the bigger ones at just under 2 grand or whatever it was then. And like I say, there's not a, maybe not every single day, but most days you're going to have a four-figure sale. And some of them are remarkable because they're four-figure sales of much lesser names. But
Oh
it's not
yeah.
a big deal now to have a $5,000 wrestling card sale. You'd be seeing us every day talking about it. So we've now set a tier of five figures to make our list. And by the time we get to the year end, there's going to be way more than 10 for us to talk about. And that wasn't the case last year or any subsequent years. So this was really the year that wrestling cards shot up dollar-wise. Um, Obviously, David Peck's big sale, just under 200K for his Wrestling All-Stars. I mean, a lot, the big Hogan at the beginning of the year for over 100 grand again, just shows the sort of the power in the
Yeah,
hobby.
there's a lot of eyeballs in this market now. And for good, bad, or indifferent, it's exciting for guys like you and me. It's exciting for us to kind of report these things and see this and kind of go like, yeah, this is it's kind of how I wanted to be taken to begin
Yeah.
with as a collector.
Exactly. Exactly. And
So
we
it's
were
it's
we've been
fun to
around for a
see.
few years now, several years talking about this, and I honestly didn't see this coming to this degree, that there come a time where there's a four-figure sale and I don't even bother typing it in. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean that's pretty impressive itself. I mean, I think that we were going to be seeing these types of sales eventually. That was always our goal to kind of hope for, I should say, or to hope for to see these happen one day. But at the frequency they're happening now is sort of mind blowing, really.
Yeah. Yeah. And even these five-figure ones, there's quite a few of them. And
Yeah,
they're going to
all
be
these
more
numbers.
prolific. We'll probably get to a time where, we don't even comment on a 10 grand sale. You got to be into that 15. Like it's moving fast, and it's
Moving fast.
testament to everything, to all the efforts of Tops and Fanatics and the business growing and our community doing what we do to push things along. All of that has helped to get to this point where, like I say,
Yep.
I'm looking at this going, Tony's going to ask me what were the top 10 sales of the quarter, and I'm going to be, yeah, a bunch of stuff, cheapo stuff for like 4 grand and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But from here on in, I'm just logging five figures plus. And when we get to the end of the year, a lot of these sales, we're probably going to have our lowest sale is going to be in the 15 to, probably around 15 grand will be our low
It's
sale.
very possible because we have this is a nice segue right into new releases because
Yeah,
we have releases that have come out that are just came out as we're recording this that are probably going to start factoring into some of these sales,
absolutely.
I bet.
Absolutely. So let's get right into it. The WWE stuff first. We're looking at all the new stuff that came out in the quarter. On the WWE side, there was the finest that just basically hit last week. So there's going to be a lot more talk about that at the end of the year. The Cactus Jack X, which is basically the Cactus Jack WrestleMania without the WrestleMania logo on the base set, broken out into a much larger set so that it was more accessible. The Cactus Jack WrestleMania was very limited, very expensive. This
Hmm.
is much more attainable. I've done my base set and I've almost done all the inserts at this point, so they're gettable without blowing your brains out. Um, there was the SummerSlam set that came out at the SummerSlam event, just like they had the one for Royal Rumble earlier this year. So
And
those are the,
WrestleMania.
yeah, that's right. Well, yeah, the Cactus Jack WrestleMania came out at WrestleMania, and that's what that was. That was a WrestleMania sort
No,
of.
but they also had a WrestleMania set that was a WrestleMania only set.
That wasn't Cactus Jack.
What? No, it wasn't Cactus Jack. It was the one that had the with the dice,
Oh, right, right. That's right. The Las
the
Vegas
Las
Wall.
Vegas
Correct.
light. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, that's right. Separate from the Cactus Jack. Yeah, and I didn't even mention that, so I forgot about that one completely. You know why? Because I never got that one. That's why. Um,
I
Now
have a
here's,
partial. I could send you a partial.
yeah. Um, Yeah, you said you're going to do that, so I'm still waiting on those because we
Yeah,
were
I'm
talking.
still waiting to try to put as much together as I can.
Yeah,
So
gotta keep assembling. Now last month we were. talking about AEW, and we both said that how disappointed we were that we hadn't seen anything new from AEW, when all the while there was product on the shelf about to go out the door and we weren't aware of it. Now, that doesn't speak to us being clued out. That speaks to them not really blaring their trumpet and saying, hey guys, Metal Universe is coming out soon, because there was no advanced press. We didn't know nothing about it at the National.
There was no. I'm not going to beat a dead horse in the mouth here, but there was just nothing at the National Theater that indicated that Upper Deck even had the license, let alone they were putting stuff out. There's just nothing about it, and it's just odd to me. And I saw there was some segment, either it was either Card Foundation or I don't think it was them. It was somebody else was talking to someone from Upper Deck, and there was just I don't know. It was almost like a political BS type
Really?
double speak there, where like we have this and da 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 da, but there was no real answer as to why Upper Deck as a company is not supporting their license of AEW product. And again, like you just said, it came out of nowhere, like metal. Oh, hey, by the way, it's coming out tomorrow, kind of
Right.
almost.
Now, let me speak to that set and to the 2022 Metal Universe, the Skybox. Those are the best two AEW sets that have been released, bar none. They're my favorites. I think this last release was great. So it really troubles me that we didn't know it was coming. We might have known it was coming, but certainly there was no all of a sudden, it's here. And it's a fantastic set. Like, it's a really robust set, lots of inserts, lots of autographs, everything that you'd want. You know, if you
Yeah,
buy,
they sent me a box which I have sitting in the back, and I just haven't done anything with it yet. Um, and I'm always grateful for that. But
it's a
I,
good product. It's a really good product. Like I say, the 2022 version, this 2025 Metal Universe are the elites, if you will, of the Upper Deck releases for AW. Like, it's a good set. I ended up getting quite a few of the insert sets, and I was surprised. It's like, you know what? They're making good product. They just need to be a little more louder about it, I think. You know what I mean? Because
well, no, they don't need to be a little bit more louder about it. They need to be talk, period.
yeah,
It's not a matter of that they're talking so like they're whispering.
yeah.
They're not saying anything, and
No, and
that's
it's
just
on
it.
us.
There's no
It's
social media
yeah, and here
presence
we
for it.
are.
There's no nothing.
Yeah, and we talk about this stuff, because there's a lot of modern WWE talk, but there's not a lot of modern AEW talk or modern indie talk or modern
I
beef
think
talk.
you and I
So
from from this year at the national at the panel to these YouTube clips here. I think we talk more about it than anybody else talks about these
yeah,
releases out there.
and it
I
deserved
mean,
to be discussed. It was a great set. It's,
yeah.
insofar as the Upper Deck product, I believe that the Metal Universe, both releases are the top echelon of what they've put out.
I mean, something to be said for Spectrum and Black Diamond as well. I mean, those are really nice products, and I do love Allure. Allure is a good product too. I like that, but I kind of like the metal. I don't agree
Yeah.
with you. I think the metal is one of my favorites.
Yeah. Okay, so that's WWE, the bigs, and AEW. Just throw out some indie stuff. There's always indie stuff coming out, guys, So I'm just
Yep.
going to throw out some names, and if you want to find out more about it, go on to WTC, look up the checklist, or go on to Price Guide. Or, if you're friends with any of the guys in the Brotherhood, they're the guys that are the movers and shakers in that world. But what do we have this
Absolutely.
quarter is the 2025 Throwdown Theater, 2025 Atlantic Pro, 2025 Wrestle Rave, 2025 Wrestling Hullabaloo, 2025 Rad Pro Wrestling, and there's probably others that might have come out specifically in the quarter. What happens is there might be an Indian event somewhere in June, and then 2 months later, we've got the cards for it. Um, so, that's what's going on Indie. I should also mention there was also some Japanese stuff. Now, I don't know necessarily if they came out this quarter, but we kind of got our asses in gear and got them up. There was the
Yep.
2025 BBM's Women's, which has been a consistent set over the last several years. And these are big sets, Tony. They're like, what,
Yeah.
150, and then all sorts of inserts.
More than that, and some of them more than
Yeah.
that. Like putting those checklists together is has been a project. It ain't putting together like a top's finest checklist, but
No, but yeah.
it's pretty
So
big.
there was 2025 Marigold out of Japan, something called 2025 Pepper Parlor. So all thanks to Rich Veligan, our sort of resident Japanese guy who liaises with Chuck, who gets the information to
Yep.
us. And we try and stay on top of this stuff around the world, not just in North America. So we look at the Japanese stuff. And also I should mention, because the National fell during this quarter, we got a couple of the sets that often come around at the National, including the Leaf 15th anniversary, which had some nice wrestling stuff in there, and the AEW Upper Deck National Worthy that had Jam Jeff cards in it. So, um, there's more stuff coming out than WWE all the time, and we
all the time. Yeah.
yeah, and we try and stay on top of it. Obviously, this quarter finest is going to be the big one. So far, I'm just starting on it. It's like a select. There's 300 base cards. There's a
Yeah.
boatload of autographs. Tops
So
is
that was a fun. It's been a while because now that I have an employee here at the store, it frees up a little bit of my time. So I decided to go take a crack at putting together that checklist myself. And so doing the research, it was both fun because I do enjoy the hunt of finding the information on things. So that was kind of fun, but it's a big ass
Mhm.
release with a lot of parallels as expected. And looking at that base tier one, base tier two, base tier three level
Yeah,
stuff, very reminiscent of a Panini release of Select or
that's where they got the
and
idea.
it's we opened up a couple packs here. I got a few boxes I picked up, and I got we opened up a couple packs here, and I posted one on the store social media. Someone opened up and hit an autograph, got a Gargano autograph out of it. Um, in the release itself, I'm like, I don't know, design wise, I'm not
I'm
overly
not nuts about
thrilled
it.
by it. I don't,
Could be a
huh?
little more colorful if you ask me. They look a
Yeah, I
little
mean
darker, muted.
the coloring of itself or background and stuff like that is and then like the noir type
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
black and whitish type imaging is like I don't know.
Yeah,
It's fun designs,
it's like that
but
Tacticians out of Cactus Jack. I thought they were horrible looking. To be the rarest of the rare, the super sort print inserts out of Cactus Jack X were ugly. They just didn't look good.
yeah. I mean, there's some interesting chase sets in this I like to see more of it. It's like that. I know it's some people are loving it. That's great. I mean, uh, I'm gonna try to put together maybe a couple sets and just regular base sets. Not sure I'm gonna do 300 cards. Might just do. I don't know. We'll see.
I'm
Depends on what
waiting
kind
to
of singles I can
see.
pick up.
Ryan B is still breaking, so I'm hoping that he can pull all 300 in the cases that he brought, and I don't have to because we didn't quite manage it on Cactus Jack. But yeah, same. I'm hoping to just get to 300. I don't know about the inserts past that, but if I just do the 300, that would be okay for that set. But yeah, I agree with you. They're not the most attractive sets, anyways. So anyway, speaking of
Yep.
Ryan Bannister, we had a collector series with him. We had a great discussion about the sort of state of play of the wrestling card hobby and
Yeah, that's a great episode. If you guys haven't seen that episode, please go check it out. There's a lot to be digested there.
uh,
And there's some inspiring stuff in that conversation that we had with Ryan that I'm really serious about doing myself here in the next, few years. But check it out. There's a lot of information to unpack there.
and the reason why I mention it is because we got into sort of the new world under Fanatics, how the distribution has changed, and a couple of discussion points I want to get into quickly. Um, you remember Netscape?
Oh yeah,
Yeah, and how they were the dominant browser. Then Balmer Hayes
100%. I got
decided,
hired
we're
at
going to do?
AOL.
We're going to give away Explorer for free, and we're going to take over the browser market. And then, several years later, the feds caught on to what was going on. They said, no, 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 antitrust, break it all down into little pieces, and let's go. Well, Fanatics and God bless Fanatics. And let me preface this by saying that, I'm not out to lunch on this. I get that public companies answer to the street, and the fiduciary responsibility is to make their stockholders as much money as they can. And we're going to talk about this in relation to WWE and their ticket pricing in a
Sure,
bit. But let's talk about Fanatics first. Fanatics owns Topps. Topps have gotten all the major licenses. They now own the biggest printer and binding company in Texas. They have Fanatics Live, which is slowly going to become another whatnot and dominate that world. They haven't bought PSA yet, but I don't doubt eventually they're going to get into the grading market. So my question to you, my brother, is are we approaching a monopoly here that eventually someone's going to have to say, wait a minute here, this isn't fair trade anymore, And again, I
yeah,
understand
I think
why
so.
they're doing what they're doing, but should they be doing
Yeah,
what?
I understand it too, but we've had this discussion on some levels throughout the entire process since the
Yeah.
day that Fanatics got into the game and said they purchased the WWE license, which was, that was fun. And then all of a sudden, it's like, well, who's going to make those cards? Kind of, and all of a sudden, it went before even Panini put out their first release. Hey, guess what? We bought Topps and we own the WWE license. So, like, oh, you guys are going to put out cards before you guys have the license back. We have a finite deadline now for Panini
Yeah.
products coming out. It's like, and then they got the Major League Baseball, they got NFL, they got
All of it.
NBA.
All of it.
They own every major sport out there, and that's why. it'd be nice to have a conversation with Paul Lisco talking about this, about, all these ongoing lawsuits between Fanatics and other companies who are claiming that already and have been for a couple of years now.
And
This is a
he's got to have
monopoly,
something to say. I
essentially.
mean, they had their entire run with the gun to their head, and there were lawsuits throughout that we were talking about. And despite all that, they had a very respectable era. We don't look back poorly on the Panini era. We look back at
No,
it with
no.
fondness, and we see that as an era that sort of opened up the hobby and is now, like we talked about, Finest and their 300 base cards, is set the stage, if you will, for tops to follow. But just from a purely monopolistic point of view, what are your thoughts? Like, do you think that they are a monopoly, or if they're not, are they getting to the point where it
No,
needs
I
to
think
be
I,
looked
I
at?
think they're already there. I think they're already there, and they're really just doubling down and tripling down on this by continuously expanding and absorbing other companies to sort of make us, and I'm speaking as Fanatics, as we are the one-stop end all be all of everything you need in this hobby, from purchasing to trading to grading to archiving to all of it.
It's
If
what
they
they
want to be
call,
the manufacturer, they want to be the COM-C version of
yep,
a selling
all of it.
point. They want to be the whatnot version. They want to be everything, and that just screams to me like, well, who's the competition then?
It's
Who
it,
else can I go to if I don't like your practices and what you're doing? And so,
you
yeah,
really
it
can't.
does scream monopoly.
It's what they call soup to nuts in the business technique.
Yes,
Where you control all levels of production. And then what ends up happening is you control the market entirely and you can fuck with pricing. And that's
yeah,
not allowed as far as I know in a capitalistic system. So let's see where that goes. But that kind of leads into a similar, discussion. And I'm going to use the word corporate greed. I've been a wrestling fan all my life, and I know a lot of people that have been as well. And I'm an old man now. Um, I think there's a certain character to wrestling fans. Best people I've ever met in my life are musicians and wrestling fans. And I see all this, Saudi Arabia gets a WrestleMania. Well, it's like the old saying, money talks, bullshit walks, right?
yeah,
Um, and
three hundred
and
fifty
and
million
and and
dollars worth.
and, and we're watching this thing now on Netflix with Matchroom, these guys that promote out of the UK, and they're doing deals with the Saudis. This Turk Al Sheikh, he's spending to get golf, to get soccer, to get wrestling, and he doesn't
Hmm.
want the B show of wrestling. He wants the A show, and he's gotten it. Recent talk about the prices for Cena's final show at the Saturday Night Main in Washington, like 11 grand, for an okay seat. And this is something that we in the Brotherhood have bandied back about. And it kind of bothers me that, there was a while there that Triple H was coming on the press conferences and boasting we had the best gate ever, pay-per-view, PLE after PLE. I'm like, well, yeah, you
Of
motherfucker.
course they are, because the
Charging,
price point's
yeah,
going
you're
to
charging
justify that.
$2,000 a seat. You're not
Yeah.
doing better gates. You're just, you're doing higher grosses. And congratulations to you. But, where's that money going? Is it going to the talent? Is it going? No, it's going to bottom line. And again, they're a public company, so they have to do what they have to do.
Yeah, and the talk and discussion about that too, because it's sort of upsetting as a fan to see that corporate greed, as you call it, which is the perfect word term to use. It's rumors. I don't know. I haven't, as a stockholder myself in the company, I'm not, I haven't really reviewed, and I've been kind of lax on that. I used to be really up on it. But rumors are, like this is, TKO's way of covering UFC's debt is by having WWE, since it's all absorbed under one company. We'll just raise prices over here, make it similar to the UFC. So I hope, that fan base now can kind of pay off the debt that we owe. And it's like, okay, and I get it, because you are a publicly traded company, but this was a family
Yes.
fun oriented type of business, almost like a traveling circus in a way. And it just became, now it's like it's out of reach. On the flip side of that, events are still selling out.
Yeah.
So people are still spending money.
My question is
And
though,
that's the mentality of a wrestling fan as it is as a whole. And since I've been a seller of wrestling products since back in my days at Frankensons, 20 years ago, um, it, it's it, wrestling fans will spend money on wrestling stuff before they spend money on food. It seems like
well,
sometimes.
that's my question. Is it sustainable? I mean, they're being very obvious and overt about it. They went so far as to criticize Vince for his pricing, saying that, oh, Vince wanted to price it for families. We didn't squeeze as much juice out of the lemon
Yeah,
as
I
we
mean,
could have back
I
then.
saw
You know,
someone's post about that. By
yeah,
the
and I'm
way,
like, well, boys, you could be a
it
little
made me
more
laugh
discreet.
about the Vince
You could be a
about the
little
Vince
more,
comment. It made me
be a
laugh
little more
about
discreet as
hold on, it made me laugh. I saw a post about that for the Vince comments. I said, I did not have Vince turning face in 2025 on my
Right.
bingo
Yeah,
card. It's like,
exactly. Vince being a guy, like be a little more discreet about it, fellas, when you're giving it to us the backside. You're raping us dry, and you're boasting about record profits and this and that. But my question is that it might hurt the industry long term because wrestling is a very specific kind of entertainment. Now, yeah, they're reaching out to scads of new fans, but are these fans going to turn into guys like us? And you have to cater to the guys like us. Now, of course, maybe we're a little older than the demographic, but there's a sort of young adult, which has always been wrestling, say 18 to 35, that they've always conquered that demographic. And now they're trying to bleed that demographic dry financially. I'm not so
yeah,
sure.
because now you're
I'm
getting
not
to a
so sure it's the
point where
smartest
those,
strategy. Now, maybe they're just trying to bundle it up to sell it to someone. I don't know, because that's
well,
what Manuel does.
maybe, but that same demographic you're talking about too, those people are having kids,
Yeah,
and their kids now are not going to be, if you're gonna bleed this generation dry, you're not leaving for long term where those kids now are going to grow up to become fans
correct.
because, well, mommy and daddy went broke.
Trying to go to wrestling.
I don't like wrestling because it made mommy and daddy broke, or I'm not exposed to it because they stopped going because they couldn't afford to go anymore. So and it's always been a generational thing where it's passed on from one, the parents to the kids, and the kids grow up and then they become parents and the kids, and it just keeps going. I don't know if it could sustain that long term.
And it's not just wrestling, like things are expensive in general now, but wrestling's
Sure,
gotten real expensive. Like they announced the World Cup tickets for Toronto this morning. And they're insane, but you'd expect it to be. I'm going to F1 next month. It's expensive. But wrestling's gotten to that point, and it's wrestling. You know what I mean? It's not, like I get that people spent they got mortgages to go see Taylor Swift, but that's the world we live in. That entertainment is so expensive, you know. It need not to be like,
it's
you
where we're
consider
at.
consider what a good meal costs, and then you have to pay 200x to go see a wrestling event. It's like insane.
Yeah, I know.
I don't like
It's
it.
incredible.
Now I'm showing my age, maybe I'm showing my naivete, but I think they should be a little more mindful of their core segment of viewers, the diehard wrestling
I
fans,
agree.
and be a little more, you know, uh, uh, what's the word? A little more understanding. Now again, these are corporate guys, and they might be just trying to get this thing ready to go to sell to some Saudi Arabian company, anyways. But I've just seen greed after greed after greed after greed, and it shakes my head because I love wrestling, and I guess it's the
But
world.
that equates to the product itself too, not outside of just the television programs and the PLEs like that. But we see that in our hobby. Our
Yeah,
hobby has
yeah,
grown exponentially to the point where product now is not. Again, when we talked about before, these characters out there is like, I can't wait for Topps to get the license back
yeah,
because we're
yeah.
gonna get
Oh
$80
yeah,
boxes of Chrome.
I can't wait to start paying $200 for a base set instead of 25. Bring it on.
Oh yeah,
That's the world.
I mean, that's the world we live in now, dude. I mean, it's just you're gonna just push out your longtime collectors who continues to keep buying your products. Like, you know what? I'm tapping out. I just when things went up, 200%, I can't really keep doing
No.
that. Yeah. I'm glad I'm not a set collector anymore. I have my hats off to you for continuing to keep doing it, but it's frustrating to me to try to be a set collector, and I'm glad I tapped out when I tapped out. I saw this coming
Oh yeah.
many years ago. That's why I stopped
Chuck and I will
doing
be
sets.
the last one standing, and Chuck and I are basically a unit now. Like we're not both
Yeah.
going to buy a Topps Chrome set. It just isn't practical to do so. But anyways, these are topics that will break out further on Hot Topic, and I just want to touch on them now. Before we sign off, I just wanted to do our regular sort of check-in at Wrestling Guy Store Phoenix. What's going on in the world of retail and in the shop? Anything
Cool.
exciting this last few months?
We got back in the in-store meet and greets. We took about 3 months off on meet and greets. Those were our three best solid months we've had in sales. So clearly we don't need
Congratulations
the
on
meet
that,
and greets, which is nice. So we hit our 2024 numbers back in June.
which is awesome.
So we
Not
we are in very much uncharted territory for us. Um,
fun, huh?
it's fun. It's fun. It's stressful.
Yeah.
It's rewarding. It's nice to be able to sit down and at dinner with my wife and my son and have a conversation about like, look what we've accomplished. It's been incredible because sometimes you don't get the chance to sit back and think about it and look at it because it's just kind of constant work, 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 work. But then when we have conversations with like Ryan Bannister and hearing his stories like that, that becomes an inspirational for me to want to move forward to other bigger and better things. So I have new goals and my 5-year goals here. And I say 5 years because we haven't publicly announced it yet, but we're going to be announcing it in a sort of press release, thanks to ChatGPT, um, and where we officially signed our new lease. We're moving. We are doubling our size. The new location's under construction right now. Not saying that it's a building that hasn't been built. It's the building, but
The
the vanilla
inside.
box are going to be
Yeah.
delivering us is going to be customized to my needs, which is going to have a back room and certain amount of outlets and ceiling fans and new AC unit. I mean, a whole bunch of stuff being happening over there, and they're moving really fast. Like I go over and check it out every couple days, and contractually they're not obligated to have a vanilla box delivered to me until the end of November. I fully believe I'll have it before the end of this month.
Wow. I'm looking forward to it, to coming back down and seeing. And congratulations to you and Ryan Bannister as well. Both you guys, 2025 into new digs, double the space. So something's going well in the wrestling card world, you know?
Well, it's to me the it's not even just wrestling cards; it's wrestling as a whole. Wrestling has
Yeah.
always been this
Yeah.
up and down, ebb and flow. But even in its downtime, we still have that core group of people. Again, about wrestling fans themselves. We have people. I hate to say making the joke, but people will just cash their welfare check in to buy a belt instead of getting food. And it's just who am I to tell someone how to spend their money? As a business owner, I'm here to provide products for you that hopefully you enjoy and
You're
want to
not
buy. I'm not
gouging.
going to
You
tell
know,
you how to
you're
spend your
you're
money.
providing you're providing stuff that people want to buy at a fair price. They go
Right.
online, they're not going to buy for half of what you charge. I'm like,
Well,
you're very
I mean,
you're competitive
we
versus, this same guy wants to take his family to aid or to WWE at the Phoenix Arena. He ain't coming into your store for 6 months after that.
probably not. You're probably right. But you know what's actually that's where we've grown as a store too. We have some of the local arenas now have recognized who we are and what we are. We're a destination spot for a lot of people. I have people coming from Thailand, from
The
Australia,
wrestlers are
from
calling you
Germany.
now.
So that now we have like Mullet Arena, where SmackDown is going to be here on the 24th this month. They contacted us a couple months ago, and they have a special price point. You mentioned our store. You get a special discount on suites, whatever you want to get there. So they want to work with us going forward about like, hey, oh shit, there's a wrestling store here in the state of Arizona. Let's work with them. They have our audience. Let's go ahead and start working with them. So we got a lot of people coming, to us wanting to work with us, which is I knew it eventually that will get to the point where we'd have agencies, companies, promotions wanting to come out and work with us. And on top of that, by the way, what I just found out the other day, we won last year. We won the Phoenix New Times, which is one of the largest publications here in Phoenix in Arizona. We won their store of the year, kind of things like that, right? So I found out 2 days ago we're now a
Oh, there you
two-time
go.
store of the so
Congratulations.
nice. But we'll be featuring all that stuff. Going through, you can't see behind me. I have a ton of merchandise in behind me. My back room is completely full, just waiting for this new location to open because all this stuff will be out on the floor. I'm finding things in the back that I'm throwing away some old stuff, kind of getting rid of the old life type thing, the booking agent guy. Um, Getting rid of some of that stuff that I don't need anymore. Trying to sell things on Marketplace to get rid of other crap. Came across my Platinum Heritage catalog from where I sold my Hulk Hogan card,
Keep that.
and it was all bent up on the outside. So I was like, I'm gonna throw it out. And then Alex was here, my employee guy, and I'm like, oh, let me show you what funded the store. And I'm looking in the page, and I forgot it was a 2-page spread, and then they put in
I
there,
remember.
and I go, oh, I said, what are you gonna do with it? I'm gonna throw this whole thing out. He goes, you should cut those pages out. We'll get them framed, put them on the wall. You put it shows this is the card that started the store.
Well, you said that was it Raven or someone was actually reaching out to you to come to do an in-store. So these
Yeah, Raven. I
stores,
mean, I haven't.
so
Yeah,
so it's not like you said to me earlier in the year when we were in Niagara Falls that when you used to, you were in Niagara Falls on business with Kurt, and you said, I used to go out to other people. Now these people are coming to me. Now you have a
yeah,
base of operations where wrestling, you can do the same kind of business you're doing before, put the same kind of bread in your pocket, but you don't have to fly all over the place.
yeah. So I mean, it's like my wife said when I made the decision, or we made the decisions like that. I mean, it was a lot of conversation with her, and just trying to figure out what we're gonna do. Just to retire from that booking business. I said, well, in a way, I'm still booking. I'm just booking for my store now. I'm
Exactly.
not getting on a plane.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah.
So it's been good. So there's a lot
Well,
more to discuss,
hopefully
and
that our next one, our year-end wrap up, you're in the new digs, and we'll do an even more in-depth sort of talking about what you've got going on there now. I
I
don't
think our
think
I think our last in-store guest here at this location is going to be in 2 weeks. We have Jake the Snake coming in two
oh, fun.
weeks. And then the goal here is if we do it in time, I talked to they had their company from the landlord, they have their company that's going in there doing all the work. Then I have my contractor guys going to come in and I'm paying someone to do all the slat walls for me because I'm not doing that again. And then he's going to be doing my electrical and other things I'm going to have done, hanging the TVs and all that stuff. Um, uh, if we do this right, then Kurt will be our first guest in the new location in
Perfect.
November, hopefully.
Perfect. Speaking of Jake, I saw him month before last, and he was there with Cheryl in the basement around the corner. But he's still going, taking
I
bumps
know,
for real. God bless Ted, $1 million man. His knees are so buggered he couldn't even walk to the ring. And here's
I
Jake
know.
taking bumps and going off the canvas. I'm like, pretty good for a guy
Yeah,
that
guy was near death, and
you
he's still
remember
taking
during
bumps.
that time the video that came out, Wrestling with Shadows, where he was
Yeah,
at. And it's just a testament, one to DDP and two to Jake just for getting it together. So it's never too late. You're never too far gone. You hear these stories all the time of wrestlers, dark side of the ring. What, 5 seasons now of wrestling stories. But you know what? There's lights at the end of the tunnel. So you just, no matter how bad you
all
think
these
things
guys
might
there
be,
are.
you
Yep.
know.
So it's yeah, the business will keep on going. It really will. The level of people who are looking to spend money, that's always going to be a challenge. The economy is what it is.
But
Um,
despite
it's
that, you're flourishing. So that says something, man.
Yeah, it's tough to figure that out. I mean, we don't have a stream of people coming up. When we open to close, other than sometimes on the weekends or when wrestling's in town. Like this month, we have SmackDown on a Friday. The very next day, we have the NXT Halloween Havoc pay-per-view here as well.
That's good.
And then we have Monday Night Raw here December 1st. And in between those two, which is a 4-hour drive away, we got Survivor Series in San Diego.
Perfect. Yeah.
So this Arizona is one
Becoming a
of
little bit of a
the
hotbed.
biggest wrestling states in this country, I
Yeah,
believe now.
we up here in Toronto, we've always been a wrestling city as well. And there are Chicago, Toronto, there's Boston. There's certain towns that we just embrace the product and always have. Anyways, my brother, I don't have anything else. I think we've covered the quarter. I'm sure we'll be seeing Chuck for the Christmas episode, and we'll do our year-end wrap up. And again, it's going to be all, five-figure cards because there's no such thing as a four-figure card to make our list anymore.
Four figures. Who needs them?
Yeah, exactly.
It's
Guys, thanks
pennies.
very much for watching.
Thanks, guys. We really appreciate you. Any comments about any of the releases that have come out? Any new indie sets you're aware of? Your thoughts on AEW product,
Hear from
WWE product. What do you think about these big high-end sales like that? We're going to continue
Yeah,
to keep
keep in touch.
soaring, going more, or we hit our peak right now? You think? What's going on here? It's like that. What are your thoughts on the fanatics? The monopoly.
Love
What
it.
do you think about this
Keep,
corporate
keep in
greed?
touch with us so
We
we
want to hear
can.
about all.
Yeah, exactly.
So yeah, make sure you give us follow us on X. I'm on Instagram as well and Facebook, but follow us on X and make sure you like and subscribe to the channels like that. Yeah, we just want to keep sharing all the information we know about wrestling cards and the hobby.
And one last thing, because I mentioned it briefly, but that happened this quarter was a PEC sale. The
Yep,
Wrestling All Stars. And it's not surprising. That's the set. There's never going to be another set like that. There's not a modern set recently, today, or in the near future that's ever going to compare to something like that because it's just the benefit of time.
you got it, man. It's yep, that's sort of that's our 52 mantle. That's our 52
Yeah,
top right
exactly.
there. That's our
Exactly.
86 clear.
Exactly.
Yeah. All right, guys. Well,
All
that's
right.
it.
Thanks,
We're
Tony.
wrapping
We'll
up
see you
here.
soon.
Okay, guys. We'll take it. We're out.